No. Alison's just saying she's got to get out of here. Well, this is Triple R behind the scenes, and good morning, Alison.
Good morning, Bob.
Alison works in the office. What a horrifically thankless job it is.
It certainly is.
Isn't it? People ringing you up all the time. And
all the time, but we don't mind if they ring up and subscribe.
Subscribe's the go today, and I tell you what, by Jingos, you pull your fingers out because you want the parrot to stay on there. How the hell are we going to give them a hard time out there if you don't subscribe? And this is your day to do it. And if you subscribe to the parrot, we've got the bribe of a lifetime for you. The bribe of a lifetime. Not only do you go into the running for the Kakadu bullshit trip, that one up there, the beauty with 4 nights in a luxury motel, but you can have...
It's not shaped like a crocodile.
And it's not shaped like a crocodile, but you can have a luxury 8 nights, 7 nights in a tent on a tropic island tours. Yes, for listeners to both parrot shows, if you subscribe, there are 2 big prizes in the offering, 1 station prize and 1 parrot prize of a free tropic island trip, man. This is just what you require. So get those phones ringing hot. Ring up, you slack mothers. Get this parrot happening. No slacking around. Let's peak those levels. Let's make things a bit dubious. It's the best of show today. What's the worst thing about the parrot, Alison?
What is the worst thing? I'd say the room that they work in.
The room that we work, our tidy office. the cocky shit cave.
Especially when it spills out into the general office.
Yes, well, we have had the odd spillage out into the general. What about answering the phones after a ping? Parrots, line 1. Is that bad enough? Yes, okay. So if you want the parrot to get better, subscribe. If you want to get worse, subscribe. If you want anything you like, subscribe. If you want to get the frog card off, subscribe. There, I'll give you full blast frogs. So you've got to subscribe like you've never done it before. It's $30. Look, what would you spend in a night in a pub? $30 goes through your fingers. What is it? It's about 10 double bundies. Not even that. It's about 7 double bundies. What else is $30 equivalent to? Like 10 hamburgers these days.
That's a good pub you've been drinking in.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. Just shows you how long since I bought a bundy in a pub. What else is $30? It's equivalent. Anyway, today's best of the parrots. And Alison, tell us something. Every man's natural history and every woman's natural history is meant to be the parrot. So what did you see this morning in the way of natural wildlife on the way here? Did you spot anything? Yeah.
I think I saw a dog walking up to the station, but...
The first feral animal, well described, Alison. Anything else?
No.
No. God, Alison, what about a sparrow this morning? Did you hear anything tweetering early?
You put me on the spot here, Bob.
On the spot? You've got to get out of here. Well, look, we'll just turn your little microphone off and let you bolt. You want Alison to stay on air. Subscribe.
There you see one of our main functions, natural history education.
That's
I think
right.
Probably you should spend more time listening, less time answering the phone. No, can't have that.
Right,
Can't
that's
have that.
a shocking thing to say. They can't help but listen. The phone's
That's right.
in, the
Phone's
radio's
ringing all the
in
time.
phone. It's absolutely hopeless. Look, Alison, thanks heaps. Like, what would we do without a grinning face of Alison and Tanya in the front desk? We go off our heads.
What would we do without the office staff? And that's another thing that your subscriptions do.
Nothing. And despite Madigan's acid comments of always bitching about the office staff, we'll go for another one of praising them.
Thank you.
Well, they're unsung, and this is what subscriptions go. You got to get paid. How many hippies out there? You see the Spoleto. How much grant money do they get for that? Everyone gets paid. Everyone gets paid for performance. I'll tell you what, working here's a bloody performance at the best of time, isn't it, Al?
It sure is.
You've got to be friendly to everybody.
You do. You have to be nice to...
And our subscribers are an incredibly diverse bunch of people, and that's the way it should be. Old ones, young ones, short ones, tall ones, and I like the fat ones myself. All fat subscribers, unnatural history, Bob's BO. That's a message from Chris in the
$30 if
studio.
you're working, $15 if you're not.
I promise, if we get 10 subscriptions next 5 minutes, I promise to have
there's a
shower
discount for
this week.
STDs, a $5 discount, is it?
More?
Yeah, it's $20 if you're an STD worker.
Right.
And $10 if you're not.
$10 if you're on a concession.
Right.
$10 if
and
you're
it's
on a concession.
$5 if you're under 18.
We're trying to discourage.
You're trying to discourage that, okay. And, well, it's actually...
How can we discourage $5?
Well, if you're
and
under 18 and your pocket money's pretty
It's
short,
a
please
special-
subscribe. We'll take your $5.
Yeah,
a
and you'll
special
be in the
parrot,
draw for the-
parrot,
Yes, you're in the draw.
parrot subscription, $1.50 for wombats. So any wombats who ring
That's
in
right.
can subscribe for $1.50 each.
That's right. And all people who look like Joan Curtin, get off. We can't get off, Chris. We've only been on air 7 minutes. We haven't even done notes in the news. It's meant to be... Look, this is not very professional. Look, listen to this microphone. This is unprofessional. Do you remember when the parrot started? Do you remember my Epicon panel?
No, I can't. Well, no, I was in Adelaide actually. I had
thanks
sort of
for that. The first time the four-letter word fled to air. 50 complimentary, non-complimentary phone calls. Oh God, what a day!
You mean
any idea what
card?
this panel's like? Look at these dials. Listen to this. The names go up and down. It's rather. We were just humble bushies. Let Alison go, please. Alison, you'll have to go.
I'm going.
Oh, mate. All right, we'll come back on tonight. We'll check you around. Check you out. Look, subscribe. Keep Al on air. You can demand that she stays on air and is there more often. And, yes, if you notice it's subscriber week yet, have we said the word 40 times in the last 7 minutes or what? Steve, tell us, what natural history have you seen? If you've seen you're going to be farting around and hanging around this joint.
I was just sitting there
Come on,
actually.
you,
but,
you must have seen, so you can't be.
Well, I saw wombats naturally, and
You've seen a wombat?
and
No,
the
come
giraffe
on,
out the
be
front.
honest.
I have
Yeah.
seen a wombat, not today.
You have seen a wombat.
Yeah, and it was alive. It wasn't squashed
Well,
all
you're
over the
pretty
road.
bloody nocturnal out there in all these disco
Yeah, I know.
venues with the.
Well, I get to see lots of wildlife out.
Does
in the
your voice
discos.
ever lift up? Do you ever sort of have a get in, really sort of wake up and have to turn on?
No,
sort of go groove,
I'm
or-
just sort of smooth, so I'm pretty much laid back all the time, So it's,
Jesus Christ. Well, that must mean I'm up and rough. And, Roger, what's the idea of the hat today? Green hat.
The green hat.
Let
With the
Steve
communist
go.
star on
You'd
it.
think this area was a bloody prison cell. Let Steve go.
No, I'm
Do you want to
fine.
hear some natural history today, folks? Steve, tell us about your first experience with a wombat.
well, I don't like to go into
on.
such details. It's very embarrassing. Obviously.
Come on, you must have had an early experience with a wombat. Most of us have.
Yeah, well, I have, but it was the sheep to begin with. Obviously, I started on the sheep, and from there I just couldn't.
Right, subscribe and get Steve to change to native animals. Subscribe. It's no good.
The sheep isn't a native animal.
No, mate, native to Europe. No,
Interesting.
like
Native
that.
to Europe, right.
Native to Europe, like
And
that
what they were
groovy
brought over
disco.
here, were they?
Yeah, brought over
Right.
of their own free will, some people say, but I think they were imprisoned. And no, wombats are the go, mate. Down the prom. You been to the prom?
Yeah, I've been to the prom.
Have our listeners been to the prom? Subscribe, we'll get you to the bed of the prom. You can go up to World Heritage up at Tropical
That's where I
Island
saw
too.
my first wombat at the prom.
At the prom?
At
I
the
thought it was
prom.
Biddy. They've got this ghost story there about a black Negro woman who's
It wasn't
10 foot
Aboriginal,
tall.
mate.
Aboriginal woman,
Australia,
sorry.
Negroes,
Yeah,
same
whatever.
place,
But
shoot.
she's got no head and she carries it under her arm. And somebody had just told me that story. And I was walking through the bush and it was fairly dark. And a wombat came out and I thought it was her. So
Her head or?
I just heard the rustling. So
Look, subscribe. What are you doing out there? Get on the phone, you pack. The tightness is increasing, isn't it, lately? Like, crew have got to... How do you expect it? What is it? 4 McDonald's hamburgers? Shut up. What does that mean? The phones are running hot, does it? Oh, God. We don't believe it. Just subscribe. Ring up anyway. Now, back to biddies.
one of them's running hot. Oh, yeah. So I just thought that this wombat might happen
Mum
to be...
subscribed, so we're right this morning, Roger. Thanks, Mum.
Your mother subscribed.
Yeah, she couldn't come in
She's
today.
a good woman, your mother. She's had to put up with a lot. And
She has, yeah.
She's come out of it well.
She has come out well. She survived the upbringing remarkably well. I think I've done a good job on bringing her up. She's come out quite well. And your mother's not looking too bad either, Roger. She's come up rather good.
Yes.
Got one
That's all I'm
stop.
going to say.
What's this go? Good one stone. You drug addict. You drug addict. We're not. This isn't. What do you think this was Triple R of 30 years ago? What good one stone? Hippies. Oh,
Actually,
it's
my
happened
mother's been
irrelevant.
great.
The country's just falling apart.
My mother subscribed to all the radio stations that I've ever worked for. Well, there's only 2 worked at. And
What about
she
all the
lives in
ones
the
you've
country, and they live 3 hours away, can't even listen. She still subscribes, and I know there are over 300,000 people living in Melbourne who can listen and do listen and don't subscribe, and we want some of those people to ring up today.
That's wrist-slashing stuff, eh? You can't even hear it and you subscribe. Now,
That's
that's
right.
bloody dedication. So all those people
Absolutely.
who can't hear, subscribe. In fact, if you can't hear this, we'll give you a $5 discount on your subscription. So all those who can't hear, subscribe now for instant $5 discount and you're in for the draw. Another little couple of throwaways for this show and the night show, 2 free prom trips. Yes, you can come out into the Bass Strait Wilderness. You should subscribe to our show, actually, Steve.
Yeah.
So we can get you out on the prom trip.
Whereabouts in the prom?
We go around Refuge Cove and Sealers Cove and out to the Seals and bloody shit hot out there. Brilliant.
What about Tidal River? That's where I was around there.
Yeah, it's on the other
Yeah.
side. We want to get you away from the bad,
What
the
about the
people who
ghosts,
ring you
though?
up on the phone all the time, you know? Do you know this is what happens with Steve all the time? He plays these records and you think, God, he'd be incredibly bored. But there's this continuous listening of female voices.
I'd just like to say, actually, that This may be true, but they rung up, but none of them actually subscribed. They all said, no, I'm not going to subscribe. So I think particularly Caroline out there should ring up and subscribe.
Yes, Caroline, you could get a free prom trip with Uncle Steve if you subscribe. So
no, with Bob. I won't be
with Bob, you won't go. You've upset him, Caroline. It's all right. You can have a try again. I haven't met you yet, so you might be safe here. Is there any
I haven't met her yet either.
Oh, there's a frog swamp still going on in the background. Doing some amazing things.
That's live from the prom.
Live from the prom. Here we go. Live from the prom. Ah, yes. We haven't got a correspondent down there. He drowned. It's tough luck. Yes, the Parrot Show goes on, and you've just had notes on the news telling you to subscribe. And that's best show of it. We'll just run you through a list of things that Parrot. What does your money do when you? What does your money do? Are you giving away $30 for us to go to the pub or what? No, you are not. Do you know, if you go to the Abercut, the ABC with all those groups, more frogs. If you go to the ABC, less Bobby probably means. If you go to the ABC and watch them make the science show or something, there's squillions of people running around, dozens of them, helping the secretaries and people copying tapes and all this gear, mate. They've got a panel, looks like the front of a Concorde, and 3 people to run it, and 4 people to put carts in, and 7 people to do research, and 9 people to part their hair before they go on air. And here, the old triple bloody R, you run around, 2 of you on a... You can get an STD line, you're going, well, you're running around the joint. And what do we need? We need a bit more gear. We need to get this radio. How much politics do you hear on Melbourne? It's all gone a bit bloody stiff. Bond owns one paper. Chris Case owns, he owns a TV station. Chris Case. How are you going to hear criticism? Developers run the joint. Look at the government. You don't have someone to give them a bit of a slap and tickle. What are you going to rely on, Willisy? Oh,
well,
God.
It's diverse media ownership. If you subscribe, you're actually owning part of a radio network that's not run by a monopoly.
Bloody oath. And I tell you what, is it going to fire up later this year? There are some good things in the wind. So you subscribe now because we've got some political stories that'll make your hair curl. Get off the phone.
Can they make my hair curl?
There are no phone calls.
Oh, we need a few more.
We need people to help on the phones.
You're not going to smoke in the studio, are you, Bob?
No.
You're not smoking in the studio, are you?
I've never
Actually, another thing that we need you for, if you do subscribe,
you'll have to come around and ask.
We need someone to teach us how to lip read.
Lip read, yes. We need to employ a lip reader. They're very expensive, about $100 a week, so you better get into it. They're lip readers wanted. Subscribe now. Now, come on, pull that finger out. Get your mother, your brother, your cousin.
Let's tell them what they get if they subscribe.
419-2066. We didn't give the phone number. Keep plugging the number. There we are. We've got bloody oath. You'll be station manager, son, the way you're going. I'll tell you what an amazing sense of organisation. Keep plugging the phone number. 419-20-66. 419-20-66. And subscribe your little fingers out. Get into it. Because this is the day. It doesn't happen very often. One manic parrot show a year. We'll just run through some of the things that we've brought you over the year. And we'll just run you through, and you'll get more of the same. And some people might stop subscribing if they hear that. But where's that sheet? I've ripped it out. Malleefowls, Streaky Bay Primary School. We did the story on the pesticide contamination, how the South Australian Education Department employed a company to fill some kids up with chlorodyne. Duck shooting, we had Laurie Levy on air, the animal liver. He got a smidge of a hard time, the old Laurie, because he wasn't into saving flathead at the time. We had Joan Kerner on air. Yes, she hasn't spoken to us for a while, but she might come back again. Subscribe, you might get her back. Power lines at Richmond. Who wants to live underneath a bloody power line anyway? And the SEC apparently doesn't need it. And we'll have more stories on that probably tonight. And food irradiation. What happened?
I live in Richmond. So
they want us. It's Collingwood, Richmond, bloody. They want to whack this thumping great power line. Some goose in the SEC got blind drunk one night and said to his mate, let's build ourselves one massive mother power line. Come on, right over all the hippies in Richmond. We'll really upset them. We'll have an inquiry. We'll tell them it's completely safe. And we'll go for it. What do you reckon, Charlie? And they said, yeah, no worries, let's go for it. And now we've got this plan. How many million is it, Roger?
I can't remember how many million it cost, but mate, it's a link that runs between Richmond and Brunswick. It's there mainly for a standby in case of certain power failures in the city grid. So what it'll do is supply the extra power for that. Now, they've estimated at the moment that these occurrences could happen once every 10 years. So there you go. It's a contingency plan for something that might happen once every 10 years. And if they cleaned up their the stations that they've got at the moment. Ford report the other week said that
They wouldn't need
backup would only be needed about once every 80 years, and I would reckon that by that time they could clean up the technology. They wouldn't even need the bloody power line up there at all. There's a meeting this Wednesday night with speakers, informed speakers, run by Rod Quantock, going to be very entertaining, down at the Collingwood Town Hall, 8 o'clock. If you live anywhere between Richmond and Brunswick, be there.
That's right. Be there, be square, or be square, as Vic Marnie would say. And Vic Marnie's coming in tonight, if you remember him from last year, our amazing silent panellist who gave us the natural history of Karen Breach through Drunken Eyes, who said the parrot doesn't bring you a bit of diversity. And you better ring now, 419... Well, don't ring, actually, they're a little bit full, but you get on that phone a little bit later and subscribe. Steve, you're going to do some natural history in your show in coming weeks, we hear now.
Yeah.
Koala calls, was it? The latest hit, actually. Koala calls. Koala calls.
Are we going to make up a card of koala calls?
Well, actually, tonight, yes, just for you, if we get a few more subscriptions, tonight there will be a call. God, there's a line down there. Ring, subscribe. 419-2066. What are you doing out there, you hippies? How do you expect us to bring you the parrot if we don't? You've got to get on the phone. What are you doing? Roadsides, grasslands, urban conservation, 1080 boating. We're taking on Jim Kennan and all the ALP heavies on Station Pier on behalf of the Port Melbourne residents, giving them a bloody hard time.
Oh, that's right. Land sales, which we went on for a while.
Land sales.
It's still going. We're going to have some information about Mont Park and all the area up there at Janefield soon.
Yes, and we'll come back with something a little bit more earnest in a minute. But firstly, too, the other things that we've covered, green turtles. Up, and we had a great rundown from Cole Olympus. We also covered, what other things do we cover up north?
And
Terns, Tropical Island. This tour that you're ringing up for now, just in case you got a little bit slow, these prom trips are the best trip you will ever do, and by subscribing to the Parrot Show now, by ringing 419-2066, you are going to go into a draw, look, for a $30 subscription, or a $15 if you're a draw for a trip worth, what, $875. Why does it cost that much to go Tropical Island trips? Because ask Australian Airlines. Ask the two airline industry, but you'll get it for nix, all right? And you'll get to a World Heritage listed national park for 8 days on your bum. Like, what could be better? We're going to get Steve to subscribe. You've got to subscribe. Subscribe, you mothers. Get out there and do it. And fathers and grandmothers. Streaky Bay, pesticide milk, Tuesdays at Madigan's. Next week, before you go to the Richmond Powerline meeting, Parrot will meet you Tuesday at Madigan's, 400 Sydney Road. And even if the boy is a bit fucking aggro, oh, Jesus, can we hit the kill button? Even if he likes, it will work really well. Subscribe, and you'll go really well down at Madigan's there. And that's the perfect place to be to see the Parrot live, and we'll be doing live to air all kinds of interesting things.
You're lucky that's a technical name for the wombat.
Yeah, it is a technical name for a wombat. I think we'll just go to a quiet little Warumpi band track here and have a break. We're getting a little bit overexcited. And don't forget, if you subscribe now while we're going off air, will be absolutely... We're going to program us staring at me. It'll be absolutely brilliant. And you can go on parrot trips and all that kind of stuff. See you soon. And you're on the Eclectic Parrot on 3RRR, and the time is 24 minutes past the hour of 11 o'clock, and we've done very little... Hello, you're on the Eclectic Parrot at 3RRR, and it's 24 minutes past the hour of 11 o'clock. And this is the day of technical difficulties and faults because it's subscriber day. And have a listen to this echoey sound. And Roger, and I've discovered that even living in the city, you can get into some interesting bits and pieces. What's going on here? Oh, come on, Roger. This microphone. Oh, you need subscribe. And we can get on to, even in the city, you can get onto some amazing things. And this morning, I did a bit of bird watching. And at dawn, picked up some galahs that came through, and a big flock of. And then just after dawn, went for a walk, and a pair of Australian ravens sitting in the park in the exhibition gardens. Woolly wagtails are back, all the insects are back. Got bitten by my first mozzie at Studley Park the other day. And what else do we have this morning? Red wattlebirds in the exhibition gardens, and the solitary red gum over there. What else? And white-plumed honeyeaters, which are mating at the moment, and they're fighting furiously and charging through the place. And a rainbow lorikeet the other morning. Whether it's an aviary escapee or whatever, but a rainbow lorikeet. This is in the middle. I'm living in the thick of the city.
Well, you're living in Queensbury Street. Last week down at State College, there's this wood duck that's been coming into State College the last few years, was nesting again between two of the higher buildings, and last week decided to come down with the ducklings, had about a dozen of them, and was sort of scooting around State College, not looking very much like students, but looking for a bit of water, and they ended up picking them up because every year, of course, the cats just knock the ducklings off, and they ended up going down to the zoo, but it's pretty far out, a wild duck coming in to nest on a couple of large buildings right next to the city there.
That's right, and also too, for people who work in the city, you can see things like peregrine falcons dashing around. They feed on the pigeons in the city and nest in some of the taller buildings, little falcons and brown hawks. So there is natural history in the city. I've found 9 species of spiders. Stephen, seeing as you're in thundering around the studio and microphones are all open waiting for you, you come from up the scrubbery. Tell us about the scrub. Even ghosts that come from caves. Angus, give him a chair. God, that poor bloke, he's been here for years and he can't even get a chair when he goes on out. Lots of birds. What do you feed up there?
What do we feed?
Yeah, you've crimson rosellas and that kind of...
crimson rosellas, kookaburras. We've started to have the big king parrots come down now. They've started to be
really
sighted.
Big, bright ones.
Yeah, the vivid green and the red.
Yeah.
And the helmets. They've just come back maybe in the last week to 10 days.
Right.
Yeah, I saw one on the weekend.
Do you feed them? You feeding them up there?
Yeah, we feed them the mix that you get from the local...
The parrot mix.
Yeah, the parrot mix. And I believe you partake of the parrot mix.
Yeah, I think as well. Now, if you want us to feed some parrot mix, you're going to have to subscribe 4192066. You've got to keep the parrot going. And it's really important that you subscribe to Triple R, because that's what makes it go round. That's what keeps everything turning, studio going, all that stuff. You don't think you're escaping at the moment, do you? We're going to come back for an in-depth quiz as to your knowledge of natural history, Mr. Ghost. And so you ring now, 4192066, and don't forget, if you ring and subscribe now, you're in the draw for a prom trip and a trip to tropical islands. So if you've rung and it's engaged, ring back. We don't like to see no dead phone. So ring back now, 4192066, and let us know what's going on, and subscribe. $30 if you're employed, which is, what is it? It's 15 hamburgers at $2 or 14 at $2.20. It's worth, what is it, 3 trips to the pictures, petrol to go to the prom and back. It's just nothing. It's just this little dot out of your life. And the thing about it is public radio, independent voice, no political censorship. We can say what we like. They're good. They are good, aren't they, Roger? They let us get away. Where else do you hear natural history? Where else can we take people on air and do... If you read the paper, what kind of view do you get of it? It's just nothing. So ring now, 4192066. And, Roger, you've got a few bits and pieces of what's going on too.
Yes, well, driving through the bush, we went down to Newgie at the weekend, and which is over a bit past Powelltown, towards Bawbaw there. And if you're in that part of the world, going through, let's see, what do we have down there? Manigum Forest, Messmate Forest, Ash Forest. At the moment, all the wattles are out. It's terrific. Silver wattle flowering everywhere. You'll be able to see this down along the Yarra. Currently, blackwoods are out. The silver wattle's sort of a bit of a misnomer because they've got a really a bright gold bloom, and the blackwoods are actually more silver. And then a lot of smaller wattle species at the moment, looking terrific. If you happen to see any critters, most of them will be starting to breed round about this time. So they're out and about, and of course, as Steve was saying before, lots of different mating going on. Was that you?
Yeah, there's mating. Well, I was over in Studley Park on Friday after a really... It gets tough being in town doing the show sometimes, especially if you come from the scrubbery, and I went out for a dose of my bush in Studley Park and sat down, and the life that was out there that evening, there's these wood swallows, dusky wood swallows have all come in at springtime, so they've all come down and they're swooping around. I saw a Nankeen night heron on the wing, Roger, cruising down the river at dusk, and they're a really big bird, nocturnal.
They look like
heron.
A seaplane, don't they, when they sort of fly in?
Incredible, just this massive wingspan and really broad wings, and they were great. And what else did we run into down there that night? Woodswell satellas, they're a little bird that creeps both up. There's tree creepers that just only go up a tree, and satellas go up and down the tree, and they're all mating and flying around, and they grab each other and radically fight on the ground. I had to stop the car in front of a pair of blueing satellas, these tiny little birds, pecking each other to death. No, not really, I don't think they'll ever do it to death, but it's certainly a blue for mating. And if you want to see birds and things, of course, we've been running parrot trips, and we just had a list of stuff that we've done over the years, so if you think it's worthwhile subscribing to keep this stuff going, get on the phone now, 4192066. And the Beaumaris fossil site was a site that we actually saved from air. The Parrot Show, unlike other shows, not to criticise them, but unlike other shows across Melbourne radio, decided to get out there and do the masochist thing of actually getting involved in the politics that we're doing. And this is the very first show that we did actually actually. One of the very early shows that did when I came to air was Therese, and we worked on it in last year, and we managed to join together people in environment planning and people at the museum, and together they worked out a way of saving this fossil site, and the alternative development that came up for the mussel farm people down there was spot on, and that left everyone happy. So we saved the fossil site. The bloke who's got the site he wanted to develop has got development that he wants, and everything was solved. Now that's the Parrot way of doing things. St Kilda, well, we brought you the story about St Kilda penguins that Leaf Young lifted and put on the front page of the Age. Note there's no credits, there rarely is, to the Parrot, but you'll see lots of news in the paper that may have come from us. And we've helped St Kilda people for a long time. They got up and they blued, and this year in the council election, the pro-development councils were clearly thrown out. So there's need for politics in natural history. There's need to link up the learning and the teaching part with the practical part of on-air. Green's Bush, that ongoing incredible battle that's been raging. We started off, they weren't going to buy any of it. Now we're up to, 200 hectares, and we've only got another 100 to go, and we're happy, and so that one's working quite well. The fishermen, there's not many stories about professional fishermen on air. It's very rare that they get a run, and a lot of the reason is the journalists who do the stories, and that often aren't very familiar with the stories. Being not journalist, naturalist, you can tell by our incompetence with the equipment at times, especially this morning. We're able to bring you stories about shark fishing, about the marine park, inlet fishing, a particular form of low-intensity fishing, flounder and flounder spearing, and a rather rugged interview with someone from Conservation Forest and Land springs to mind. We brought you news about the ozone decline from Fred Jaker, the bloke who originally did the research. Fruit bats were primates, a story that, well, it was lifted in the Parrots, lifted in the papers. We broke the story on air, and then it was lifted back onto Quantum. And so there's good stories have come from the show. Aboriginal occupation of Sydney reported again today in the Australian, and a story that we did with Father Eugene Stockton, who was amazing and also gave us an amazing talk about a Christian's view of evolution. So it's a wide variety of stuff on air. If you haven't listened to us before, listen again. If you haven't heard us before, subscribe today. And if you've been listening to us and you're not a subscriber, get your finger out and subscribe, because money makes the world turn round, and it's a public radio station. And unlike those people at 3XY who seem to think that we're at the taxpayers' expense, we are not in any way whatsoever. We're not at the taxpayers' expense. We're a public radio station, and that means that you own a bit of us. Subscribe now. Noddy Turns, we brought you stories of them. Anglesey Heathland with Jeff Carr, who's a regular on air. John Reed, the naturalist, spot-on naturalist, who's now up north, the lucky beggar, where you'll go if you subscribe today, because if you subscribe today, you're in the draw for a prize for Tropic Island trips, prom trips, fossil fossics. They were good down at Bowie, the last fossil fossics. Having saved the site, we visited it, and that was you got a good tooth that day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good day, and lots of whalebone.
And having the kiddies out there, and the parrot meets kids and that. And to our young listeners, thanks heaps, because the young listeners are great. They're the ones who come along on so many of the trips, and they're the ones who ring us up all the time. And they've got so much energy and so much going them. And so often you learn things from people ringing up. We had a woman ring up with some really interesting stuff, talk back one day about European wasps, and that information has been really useful to people at Melbourne University, so thank you to that person, Adelinda, that day. You are naturalists out there, don't ever get the idea that somehow because these turkeys have got hold of the airwaves that we're the great experts. Well, okay, it's our buff, it's where we get our kicks from, but it's the whole addition of what you've seen over your life will make you a naturalist if you just tie it together a little bit. And ring now, 419-2066, and subscribe. Keep all this stuff happening. Subscribe. Get your mum as your...
Stuff like that down off the rocks.
Bit of snorkelling coming up again this summer at St Kilda. Who would have thought that this urban area, it's only until they propose development that I suppose you get to have a look at them. One day we'll get in front and look first. But who would have thought there would have been so much stuff there? So get on the phone, subscribe. Cape Tribulation, St Kilda spotlighting not. We also saw Eastern water rats, which an unfortunate name. One of the hassles, isn't it, with marsupials? They're horrible names. No wonder people don't realise them, but they're more like an otter, aren't they?
Not a rat, yeah, they are quite a lot like an otter, and when they move very fast and in and out of the water, and they don't really look like a rat at all.
No, they're beautiful. They swim in this duck diving fashion and come up on shore and chunchuck crabs and all the rest of it, so they're really, really good. Also, too, the other stories we brought, stuff from Dinosaur Cove last year. Tom Rich, when he was down there, got some fossils, and some interesting thoughts about nuclear winter from that, Roger.
Yes, the thing about the southern areas that that part of the world was right down near the South Pole when Australia was joined to Antarctica, and it's worked out that they could have had anything up to a couple of months darkness every year. And also from looking at the sediments, the Riches and other people have worked out that it was a pretty cool temperate climate down there, which throws a few of the ideas about the fact that dinosaurs may have died out because of changes in the environment and the fact that they need heat. They need the sunshine to be able to live. If they're living in darkness for 2 months, they obviously can't do that. So it shows that the dinosaurs, at least the smaller ones that were down there, were perhaps far more adaptable than we thought. And usually if an animal hasn't got the physique to be able to handle rough conditions, they need to have the behaviour to do it. To have the behaviour, they have to have slightly larger brains. So for a long time, people have been looking around for dinosaurs that have got a greater cranial capacity. That's the hole in the middle of their skull.
Oh, I've got a good cranial capacity. I tell you what, if you want to hear more yarns about greater cranial capacity drives, you're going to have to subscribe. Get that phone digit out, 4192066, and subscribe. How can we have to keep interrupting our talks because that switchboard's not lit up now? Ring. We know you're out there. We got a Morgan poll. We've discovered all you crew out there who are being a bit sleazy, you know, just sort of like tuning in and telling all your friends you like listening to public radio, not subscribing. Wouldn't be you by any remote chance, would it? Feeling a tad like subscribing? Well, there's bribes today. Prom trips, trips up north, you got to go. Look, just keep subscribing all day. Get this station moving. Do you want Bonds and all these dudes to run the joint? You complain about politics sitting over cappuccinos and beers at the Provincial. You worry in your outlying rural areas that nothing's happening. You get frustrated. Well, here's a real good chance. Subscribe. Pull that digit out. Keep it going all day. Don't just try once, get an engaged signal and give up. Try again, try again. Get it happening. We need public radio more than ever. We need that independence of noise. We need that independence of talk. Look at all the buzzing. There must be, look, all the people in here giving us a hand. It's great. The people have come out of the woodwork today. So subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. All right, you've got it lit up. We can afford to go back to a bit of natural history.
Yes. So anyway, they found these a couple of skulls down there, very tiny skulls. I had a look at one in the museum. It was only about 4 or 5 centimetres long. Looked a little bird-like, but it turns out that one had a slightly larger brains than dinosaurs usually had, and also a hole in the front of its skull where the pineal gland was supposed to be, the supposed third eye, which is very interesting. And of course, there has to be a hell of a lot more work done on that material.
And it had a
and
double
they'll be
row
down there looking for more double row of teeth.
Double row of teeth as well. Really
interesting.
Find.
Could turn sort of the late history of dinosaurs on its head.
Certainly could, and it certainly turned the nuclear winter theory on its head, because these animals lived because of continental drift. Australia was attached to Antarctica at the time. They were running around 110 million years ago, and they were on the shore of a lake from the two continents splitting and spreading, and they had to live in total darkness for a period of nearly 3 months, and they had no ozone depletion come the springtime, and those crew survived in there, and so that means that maybe the nuclear winter thing made us all feel a little bit sort of depressed about life on Earth, but maybe we could survive it. And who wants to anyway? Who's going to get those so-and-sos to drop the bomb? It's not all that profitable, and I thought they all really liked money. And so what we've got to do, I suppose the biggest threat is that while we're worrying in great paranoia about things falling on our heads and bombs blowing up, we're losing birds and plants needlessly, and so many individuals have got up there and pulled their finger out and got these things happening. Now it's your chance to help us get these things happening, and we'll keep going if you keep going. And give us a ring now, 419-2066. If it's engaged, you're very simple, ring back, keep ringing, get that phone digit finger working. 10 minutes effort and $30, and you're keeping a public radio station on air. And how important is it in this year, 1987, Roger? You don't have to smell of politics to realise it is damn important. You've got to keep us on air. You've got to get us on air with grunt, not just struggling out of some hole of poverty. We've got to go there and get into it. And also, too, elfin copper butterflies. You heard the full story about that one, and that's really important because the elfin copper was a species discovered on an area of land owned, I think, to be developed by a Sander ANZ bank, and I think their 25-cent bank charge maybe should go towards elfin copper butterfly preservation.
Yeah, that'd be quite good, but Sander has been agreeable to the extent where they've frozen the development on part of the land for until at least that one of the colonies, certainly, and perhaps the other one can be bought by public appeal, which means they have been helpful, but at the same time, that 25%. And I think that all companies really, I mean, there's this idea that you can sort of float along on the bush, on the land, and get it all for nothing, that you're getting something for nothing. And I think that instead of whacking the 25% deposit fee onto your customer and just whacking it straight into the bank is not the go. Some of this should be actually paid back into the areas where it comes from in the form of better management, better protection, all sorts of things like that.
Right,
I mean, I don't think investors would mind paying 25 cents if it went to the Eltham Copper, but I said they're certainly damn stroppy about having to pay it to go back to the bank.
Maybe there's a part where private industry can play a part and maybe introduce charges for a short time and raise money for conservation. These ideas come to you from Parrot. Subscribe. Have you subscribed? What about your part in finances? Get your phone digit finger out. Ring that dial. Come on, I know you're out there, you non-subscriber crew. Other things we've brought you over the time. Long-footed potoroos, dugongs, painted crays, an interesting story funded by the Queensland Parks and Wildlife Research. And that's up north where we're going for Tropic Island trips, and you'll get a chance to pick up a Tropic Island trip. You might have heard Jenny, I think she did a card. She won the trip to Cape Trib last year, and I tell you what a holiday she had. She had a ball, and then she got back and won the dip double draw for the other trip from Triple R trip to China. So you could be the lucky person who wins a prom trip, a trip to China, and a Tropic Island trip. Not a trip to China, a trip to Kakadu, and what an excellent trip that'll be. Really good prizes, lots of giveaways on Triple R, of course, as it is all the time. People say, what about my subscription? How do I get money back? Look, if you're just a little bit quick with your phone digit over there, you'll get easily $30 worth of records, $30 worth of free passes to everything. Being a subscriber is a very profitable motive. So even if you're feeling like being a bit of a stinge, think of it as an excellent investment, not only public radio, but even from the personal sense, and you can get along to all kinds of interesting things. So get on that phone, ring now, 419-2066, and subscribe to 3RRR. Other things that have been going on, I suppose, and one little serious note while you're busily dialing and subscribing, the things that are tough is Station Pier. Last week worked really hard to get some lift into the other media about Station Pier development. What's happening down there is the state government's come up with a U-Butte scheme for a massive development, and going down to a public meeting, we discovered that the Port Melbourne residents weren't all that happy about what was going on, and they sort of looked like they were being bullied into something that they didn't really agree to. The Planning Act appeared to be stretched their limit for the first time since Whitlam was sacked by Kerr. Somebody's overridden the Act and put in a note that no environment effects statement, no EPA work spent was required for Station Pier. Then it turned out that the site was hopelessly contaminated with a full range of petrochemicals. What a disaster. We're still following it up, and we'll get more news next week particularly. And this seems so serious that the EPA just refuses to do anything about it. I don't know what the story is. The first statement they said was it was going to be covered in the environment effects statement. We didn't see it in the environment effects statement. The second thing they told us is it was going to turn up at the public hearing. Well, if the developers have only got one day to present their case, I don't know how the hell it can come and be dealt with. Really, the people who are employed to do the job of measuring toxic waste on proposed sites of development are the Environment Protection Authority. And in this case, and if you heard the local residents last week say that there've been tankers out there dumping stuff, well then it's really important that the EPA get out there and measure it. We could have something really toxic out there. And if you want to do your developments and all the rest of it, they've got to learn. Don't push them in over the people. Come up with something sensible. Come up with something low-key. Not every development has to be $300 million, $600 million. Look at St Kilda, you know, for a few wooden wharves and a little bit of addition of boating facilities and things like that, nobody would have objected. You would have had the thing built by now. The council would have had an income. Now what are we, 18 months down the track? They blame the planning process for their own incompetence. All right, a little bit more from the Warumpi band while we have a resty, and we'll see if we can find another record while we're doing this too. Okay, you're on Triple R, Eclectic Parrot. It's subscriber week. We've got quarter of an hour to 12 o'clock, and you've got to subscribe. If you haven't never done it before, do it today. You might win a prom trip. You might end up on a remote tropical island, and this is your day. On 3RRR, the time is 10 minutes to the hour, 12 o'clock, and this is the Manic Parrot Show. Running out of steam.
Yes.
Subscriber day. Can't you notice as the voices slowly fade off?
Well,
Glad it's only a 1 hour show, Roger. Ooh.
One thing we have been doing, which sort of helps bring things together, is that we managed to put on a lot of announcements about planting days, things like that are happening around the place. And if you've been listening, a regular listener, you'll know that a couple of Sundays ago they had a planting down there at Blackburn Creeklands, and they had 2,000 plants to put in a Sunday afternoon. About 200 people rolled up, a lot of them people who'd heard the description of the planting day and everything from the show, got all the trees in, no problems, and there'll be another planting later this spring, so that's terrific, and thanks to everyone for going down there and helping to put a bit in. And because there were so many people there, of course, it didn't mean that it was too great a workload for any one person, and those trees will be going for it.
That's right, and I suppose that's the most satisfying part of doing the Parrot, is that the thanks should go out to all those regular listeners and those people who've helped and contributed and sent us clippings and information and books and come in and given us a hand. Tim, Mick Varney, I don't know, Gangus in the background all the time. People all over the place who've been giving us a hand over the year, and it's really made it a lot easier. The staff, as we said, Alison, Tanya, Stephen, Jean, all those crew in the background, Jenny, Archie, you know, what we do without Archie in the production studio, the person you never hear of. All these crew are incredible help, you know, and they keep the whole station running, and they somehow work here. And I tell you what, it's not exactly what you call Queen labour conditions, and they put in incredible amounts of hours, and you find them here at, I don't know, the strangest hours of night and day. The Watching Brief boys, of course, they're always here too, and all those crew in the background, Angela and Bruce and Reese and all those people, the people that you may have heard on air, but you don't probably realise the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes to keep the whole thing up and running. And something like 150 volunteers working on the station, something like over 90 shows, and all these people. The volunteers who are in today, the people who are all over the place answering phones and giving a hand. So it's a really good effort, and it really is a buzz to be on public radio. It's good to be on a place that is public. It's for you, the public. And you can just best show your support by subscribing, and that's the best way to keep the joint going. And so you can ring 419-2066. Remember, you're in the draw for a prawn trip and a tropic island trip. It's just what you need to blow the cobwebs out of your hair. And those plantings, the fossil fossics and the phone calls, you got no idea how much a phone call, when you're really knackered, you've just had a really horrendous day and you get a phone call at the end and someone says, look, that was really good. And you think, oh yeah, I'll come back next week.
I'll tell one thing that puts the scare up you too, when you get a complaint from rather large chemical companies and you think, oh, here I am, my annual turnover is something less than $10,000, theirs is something about 10 billion, and I tell you that can certainly put the wind up you for a short while too. And so these occasional disasters come up where we have to cover ourselves, run out rapidly looking for research to make sure that everything is said is correct and can be backed up. And really, this is what RRR provides, is phone access and all sorts of things like that.
And support for the people on air too. So you get in there and subscribe. Subscribe to us, subscribe to the people in the background, those people who maybe you haven't heard on air, those people who work answering the phones. Alison, who was in before, and that, what a horrendous job some days that she has. Like, she's bright and always cheery and always smiles at you when you come in, but to have these squillions of people roaring past you saying, where's this and where's that, and I can't find my record, and where's the key to here, and where's blah, 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 blah. And amazingly it functions smoothly. Val in the background, and Richard, who not only does the breakfast show but also works here, and sometimes he's on that computer until, you know, some weird hour of the morning. Val in the background looking dark and snaky hanging up the back, but he's always got a word of encouragement usually when you need it. And all those crew that you haven't heard of, subscribe for the whole lot for public radio for RRR, and keep it going all day. If you're wandering around the street and you see someone you know they're RRR listeners, say, hey, you, hey, subscribe, get your finger out, hey, come on, have a go. And yes, funny anecdotal. Did you pick up the story, Roger, about the EPA man who went to have a look at the soil erosion on a construction site, and the poor bloke got bogged? It was in the diary.
I did hear about that.
Got bogged and then got another car to get out of being bogged. Have you ever done that yourself, listener? And then that car got bogged, and then he got a grader, and then the grader got bogged and broke down, and he had to be picked up by the boys in head office. Our sympathy to that EPA man. We know exactly how you feel, and having a great long line of cars bogged and not really knowing what to do. So this is your day, I suppose. Coming up in the show in the future, some interesting stories, and also reminding you, Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock at Madigan's 400 Sydney Road in Brunswick, there's going to be Parrot Talks live, and we're going to start off this week, and the theme is people or animals, aren't they, and other natural history. Talk will be me, Bob McDonald, but from week after that, we'll have other natural history speakers, people you've heard on air, with slides, with bones, with fossils, with talks, to let you get a bit better access to us. We're going to charge you all of $3, and of course there'll be drinks and everything like that available there. So that should be a pretty cheap night for you, and a good way for us to meet you again. It's always good to meet people. You get charged up. Okay, now it's Subscriber Day. In case you hadn't noticed, it's Subscriber Week. So think about it. Subscribe. Get it out there. There's thousands of you out there. Get that phone digit working, and this could be your day to really come good. Okay, and some other things that are going on, I suppose, around the state at the present time. 1080 baiting has been a controversial one. We did an interview last week, and we had a few phone calls about the interview on 1080 baiting. Will it stop? Well, it will stop if we keep the pressure up, and maybe some of the other media can lift that safe one politically and keep it moving. And another thing we've noticed is that we get transcribed. The show's transcriptions get transcribed. And in our last 5 minutes, I'd like to send a couple of personal letters, because Australia Post is pretty expensive. And this phone transcription service, if you mention somebody, then they transcribe everything and send it to them from the radio. We didn't realise this happened. And we get letters from people in Sydney who obviously can't hear the show. We get a transcription because it's mentioned them. So first to the Honourable Jim Kennan. Now, okay, phone transcribe. He's got this: to the Honourable Jim Kennan, Foreign Planning. Jim Kennan, please get the EPA to do a really rapid survey of the site of BP down at Port Melbourne there, and go easy on the Port Melbourne residents, but get the EPA in to do a survey, because if you don't get them in, we will try our best to force you to get them in to do that survey, and you wouldn't like that situation. So I know you're going to get this Honourable Jim Kennan, so that's a very cheap way. Any other letters I'd send? Jane Kerner. Keep trying. Please bring your foresters under control, and more money for research. I don't think people realise that the fight for the parrot and the fight for a whole other stuff is the budget for freshwater research this year. We heard indirectly was 00-00, nothing. That's for innovative research in freshwater fisheries. It doesn't mean they're not operating, they're still employed, but there is no extra money for anything. So a letter to Joan Kerner, the Honourable Joan Kerner, wherever she is, 500 Victoria Parade or 450 Victoria Parade, Melbourne. This is one transcribed to you, Joan, 250. Please, more money for research. To the Honourable John Cain, if you get a transcribed letter from Radio Station 2, you can please
Don't
give more
sell all
money.
your bushland.
Don't sell your bushland. Get on top of that Urban Lands Committee. They're putting too much land on the market too quick. You're not even getting the price for it. And so much of this bushland's incredibly valuable. We've got a state election coming up, Mr. Cain, and a conservation vote will be really important. And actually, your track record is not all that hot if you have a flick through the papers every week, while we do. Reform it. What is the pain in being a state that's really good for conservation? Okay, now to you, the listeners. Again, thank you for all those bits and pieces. White-winged chuffs duck shooting greenies. Yes, we've often been on the wrong side, but I think Manning Clark put it really perfectly. He opened the Wilderness Society calendar launch this week and said that conservation is really important in Australia, but sometimes people get a tad on the religious side about it, and he feels really bad about breaking a twig. And I think that basically sums it up in the most subtle way I can think about it. Don't go too overboard. If you're into conservation, don't demand it of everyone. Please try to understand what other people are into and try to cajole them around to the way of your thinking. Nothing like a trip to the country pub and elbow on the bar to realise where people are coming from. And with all the anti-greeny inflammatory stuff dying down, let's just keep it dying down. Let's stay nice. Let's talk to people. Let's understand what people are doing and why they're doing it. And maybe we can get somewhere there. It's nearly 12 o'clock. I think there's going to be a 12 o'clock report. I wonder how they're going to, how we're going to phase in their clean day. At least we don't have to come off to delay, which could have been a pity in some ways this morning. And need for Triple R alternative media to get politics back on the air and make it humorous, make it cutting, and get those buggers to wear and work them over. There's a little note I made this morning. I was thinking of reasons to subscribe to Triple R. Developers own the papers, as I've said before, and money, ego, and love. Those three things that motivate people. You've got to sort out yourself what it is with a lot of these developments. Is it money? Is it ego? And is it love? And while you're sorting it all out, you've got to subscribe. 419-2066 is the last minute and a half of the Morning Parrot. Roger, can you think of 4 good reasons for subscribing except for a prom trip, a tropical island trip, 2 prom trips, and one tropical trip and just subscribing to keep the station. What's another good reason for subscribing?
Investment into guilt-free listening. And remember, once you've got the card, you'll use it. You won't have it before you got it.
Right, we're winding up, and I can hear frogs coming back. Can I? Yes. And the midday report will be coming up now. Thank you for your help, and keep subscribing today. Keep RRR firing, keep public radio firing. Goodbye from me, Bob McDonald.
And goodbye from Roger, and we'll be back at 6 o'clock this evening.
Okay. Hooroo.
Hello, I'm Leanne McDonald.
And I'm Gareth Borum.
And this is the 12 o'clock news on Victorian Public Radio, prepared and presented by second year students of journalism at RMIT. The Australian Privacy Foundation says the federal government has plans for a secret file on all Australians. The foundation, which is conducting the national campaign against the ID card, says the plan has been discovered in leaked Health Insurance Commission documents. It says the documents reveal plans for a separate secret file containing sensitive information on card holders. This second file would be accessible only to the government, and the foundation says the information could be changed without the cardholder's knowledge. Australian Privacy Foundation member Mr Tim Robertson says the documents reveal precise details of the ID card database and are so specific and comprehensive that the foundation can only describe them as a hacker's handbook that would enable experienced computer operators to gain access to the Australia card system with relative ease. Mr Simon Davies, campaign director for the foundation, says the release of the documents had destroyed any claims by the Prime Minister Bob Hawke and Senator Susan Ryan that the system would be secure. The government has rejected claims that a secret file was being developed, but Health Insurance Commission officials are investigating the leaking of the documents and will try to establish their authenticity. In the countdown to this week's federal budget, a Queensland academic has claimed trade unions are opposed to the privatisation of government assets because it will smash union power. Professor of Public Administration at Queensland University, Dr Kenneth Wiltshire, says privatisation will cut off the pipeline to Treasury funds, meaning management can no longer accept union demands for wage increases and better conditions. Dr Wiltshire says privatisation will mean private contractors are no longer obliged to employ union labour when working for a public company. He says the sale of shares to employees will mean that they will not be interested in taking industrial action. Mining unions and the ACTU are hoping for this week for a response from the federal government to their calls for an urgent meeting over the national coal strike. Miners Federation President John Maitland says unions want to clarify government opposition to a national coal authority, which will oversee production and export policy. The ACTU has backed the Federation's call for a meeting, but the government spokesman says it is unlikely that any decision on the meeting will be made until sometime this week. The Federation is meeting New South Wales Premier Barry Unsworth tomorrow. Nearly 30,000 miners in New South Wales, Queensland and Tasmania began a 7-day strike last Wednesday in a bid to establish a coal authority. But the federal government has backed employers in rejecting a national coal authority and claims nothing will be achieved by a strike.